Hey there, just making something other than marbles today, and it's going to be some beads. I'm behind on some of my earrings that I want to have for farmers market this year, and so I thought I would talk about the basics of making some beads. Alright, first thing you need for beads, of course, is your glass rods that you're going to make things out of. And I'm going to put on my glasses. There we go. So, in addition to the glass rods, you need a stainless steel bead mantle, and this one is coated with a bead release. So the bead is made on the mandrel, basically a rod made out of stainless steel. The bead release will crumble off, and the bead will pull off once the bead has been annealed after it's been made. So let's make a basic one. And what I'm going to be making today is bees and strawberries. So I need a bunch of different stuff for bees: black and white, and yellow, and a little bit of red. Just one stringer. So usually what I'll do is I'll have my glass rods prepared, the colors that I want. Then I will pull tiny stringers out of the colors I want. These I just happen to have made, and I have a lot made right now. So what do I have the least of? Black, probably. Let's make a black one. So I have a black rod and another black rod. Let's heat the ends, and then as soon as they start getting hot, we'll put them together and sort of squish them so they make a little gather. Not a big one. And this is kind of fun. You can do this to mix colors. You can make little twisted canes, which are great for decorating. This particular black I'm going to use for eyes. And so I want a 1mm strand, maybe 1.5. So, and stretch that gather out to the right diameter. Melt it off on one side. Grab it with tweezers because it's hot. It cools down relatively fast when you put this thin, but you still don't want to be touching that for a minute or two. Now, I have a little short black one, so let's merge that with part of the rod that we just made. Let's melt both ends. I don't like having short pieces around unless I'm cutting them for a particular design, or I'm going to encase them in clear and then pull them out. Short rods are otherwise either in the way or getting lost. And I want to make sure I can use all that nice glass of color. So I heated them, they became blobs, pushed them together, let them start to harden, and then pull them back apart. Sort of a little smooch on my torch head. And sort of turning them, hold it upright, make sure you're getting a good straight join, and there we go. Joined it together, and we'll use that again. Alright, so the first bead I'm going to make is just a very simple one. And one of the great things about, hi there, making a bead is that you can start small and work your way up. And so we're going to start small, and that, if it doesn't turn out good, you can start again. If you mess it up too bad, you can throw it away and start again. So I'm going to heat the rod and the release agent until it's glowing red at the time when my glass is starting to gather a teardrop at the end. To get a nice bead, I'm going to touch, pull away, and turn, and then melt off. And then you can see it's not perfect. So I'm going to rotate it while turning it in the flame. I don't want it to get too hot that it starts to slump. So I can take it in and out of the flame, getting the heat even, letting it pull into the right shape. This one got pretty crooked, and now it's pretty straight. And it's just a green bead. The ends look nice, they're pulled in. Let's add a little decoration to this green bead. And let's call it some little twisted cane dots. We'll say those are little flowers. We won't even have to do anything other than make dots out of them. And I overheated my rod end and it bent. That was obviously had been weakened before by previous heats. Some of these mandrels I'm using are very, very old. And so when we get something like that happening, I'm just going to see if I can straighten it out. Anyway, that's kind of a disaster, so I'm going to just junk this and start again. Put some water, get a shatter off of there. Let's try again. So this we can heat up. This we're going to gather with our green one more time. This rod is bent on the back end. Didn't straighten it before I dipped it in bead release, so I'm going to toss that one to get washed again. This is a straight one. I don't know if I bumped that one in the bead rack or what. But anyway, that happens when all of your stuff starts getting old. Everything needs a little maintenance. So I'm going to touch, pull, and spin, melt off, even it out in the flame, and there's my bead. There it is in magnification. Look at the end. Nice and clean. Dimples in, which means no sharp edges. So this could go on any kind of bead cord you'd like. Now, what if I wanted to make a bigger bead? Well, what I would do is I would just get some more glass. Let's go for just a transparent glass. This is a pale blue. Transparent. Recycled actually from older projects that I pulled back out into rods. Alright, so let's touch, spin, melt off. And let's put some more glass on there too. So I'm just going to keep this warm in the back flame. Get a little bit more light blue on there. Let's touch, spin, melt off. And we will pull out the bead even out through heat and rotation. Now these bead mandrels I coated many weeks ago, and they're a little bit crumbly. That bead came out pretty cute. Green with a pale blue cover. I'm just going to throw this in the annealer. And we'll get started on the beads we're actually going to make today. My beads go in my regular annealer that I use for my marbles. What I have in there is normally I have salt, popcorn salt, very fine, so the marbles don't roll around. And That's quite good for keeping things from rolling around and not putting dents in them. But for beads, I have a special brick that I've made in the back of the kiln that I've drilled holes in, and so the bead mandrels just slide right into that hole in a grid. And really it's only important when you first put the beads in there, if you're making a lot, that they have their own space. Once they have cooled down and they can touch each other, you can just, as you put the new one in there and give it some space, you can take the next one over and just start piling them up. So I'll often have, if I'm working for the day, I might have 80 to 100 bead mandrels in there, stacked up with just the first few on their own when they're first cooling down. Alright, so let's grab a mandrel, and the first one I want to make today is one I make a lot of in varying shapes. And this year I'm making disc beads again. They're essentially a disc bead that looks like a bee. It's got clear wings, stripes, eyes, and it's got a cute little mouth for smooching flowers. So let's do that. So we're starting with yellow. Heating up a single gather of yellow. And by habit, I'm heating this whole rod. A lot of times I will dip my the bead mandrels that I'm going to use for the day in the bead release. And so then I will be heating it to dry the water. So when you're first getting started in beads, there's a lot of people who've been doing beads for a long time, and they're doing beautiful work. And it'll be a while when you first start before your stuff comes out beautiful and the way you like it. Glass is amazing. It might be beautiful immediately because glass is very cooperative. It starts out looking great and looks great after you do stuff to it. But to get it to come out just how you want, often a longer path. So don't get discouraged. When I was first studying glass, making stuff 100 times or 1,000 times was really like my benchmark for watching my progress and practicing stuff without getting wrapped up in what the final product looked like, and not worrying about what I wanted to sell, but worrying more about how I was going to improve my technique. And of course this leads to a lot of stuff laying around your shop or your studio. That's okay. Sometimes you can find a way to sell it. Or remelt it. Or if it's bothering you, just recycle it. It's okay. We're all about the process. Later on, things might come out good enough to sell. But you don't want to start selling your stuff too early and sell stuff that you'll be embarrassed about later as your standards of your own work improve over time. So, I've made my bead body through a series of dots. I'm not real happy with this one. I'm going to go ahead and finish it up. What I want to do first is put some wings on there. Just adding the clear for that this time. I'm not going to show them. I won't tell you what the right way or the wrong way to make wings is. That's for you to decide and for you to do a style. So I've got some clear glass on there. It's kind of even. Let's put a little face on there. I'm going to put the white part of the eye. These don't have a white part of the eye, but we're going for a recognizable cartoon style bee. That's cute. I don't want a real realistic bug. Kind that you'd see on like a cartoon that kids might enjoy. So I put the little whites of the eyes. Giving out some little lips right now. So there's his little face. Now let's give the wings a little shape. Melt one wing. And a pinch. Now let's get the other one to match. That one and a pinch. Even. I don't like the striped lines, but I am going to give him a little stinger. There's his face. Let's give him a little stinger on his butt. This would be a great place to have a tiny yellow stringer. Oh my gosh, I had one. There, he's got like a little smurf tail on his butt. It's a stinger. Wings. Just a cute little bee. So the ones from this year will have a tail. The ones last year were like this, but no tail. Put them in the annealer. I was probably going a little bit too fast with those dots. I was like at trying to go at full-on speed, like if I'm going to make 40 beads. But you've got to get your procedure right first, and I didn't do that. I mean, of course, that bee will be cute, but it won't be, it won't look like its buddies that I'm going to make a lot of over the next week or so. So let's make one more bee, and then we'll move on to some fruit. Summer fruits or vegetables. Alright, so we heated up that mandrel, hitting a droplet here for the first part of the bee. Let's touch, pull, and spin. And there we go. Now let's get some black. It's a little bit twisty because it's a bunch of short pieces I've joined together, so that makes it a little bit of an adventure. Let's keep it back up. Slowly flatten down that black. And I told myself I was going to be making little flowers and fruits today, but it was hot, and I was doing some maintenance, which worked out fine, but I just never got to make all my little flowers and fruits that I wanted to make. Always so much else to do in support of doing the part that you want. I got the dots nice this time. Took a little extra time positioning them. Let that firm up. Now let's put some clear on for the wings. You could use pale transparent colors. I'm using whatever clear I have laying around. Let's This one is a pale blue. Won't look like anything in small amounts other than clear. There you go, wings. Now let's pick out the best side for his face. I'm going to say this side. Do the whites of his eyes. I'll show you that this time. Now let's do some little pupils. These little pupils. Googly eyes. Alright, let's give him a little smoochy face. Talking to flowers. See the lips. Hard to see, they're red, but they look black because they're hot. Now let's give those wings some shape. Pinch, texture. There. Oh, we gotta put a sting on. Don't forget a sting. Give him a little, it'll be a dull sting. A little yellow dot. But you guys get the idea. There, it's a cute little bee. Alright, put this in the needle. I'll be right back. Alright, now we want to make the thing that the bee will go visit. Let's say a little white flower. And let's do a yellow middle for the white flower. So many ways to do flowers. I'll show you just a basic one. We'll do a couple maybe. So, middle of the flower, yellow. Make that a nice even bead. There she is. Pretty even. That's yellow. Let's give it some white petals. You know, white is grouchy sometimes, that one. Little tip, just blowed it off, because I haven't flashed it enough. Alright, how many petals would we like to put on there? 4, 5, 6? Let's do 4 or 5. Let's see what happens. So now, you can just touch that bead to make your flower petal, or you can shape your gather first. I can shape this flat, and then I can stick the flat part pull back. So my flower petals. I haven't even shaped it yet. It looks pretty nice. Let's do that again. I'll get one more in there. I haven't done a flower like this in a while. A little rusty. Now let's switch this a little bit flat. This one's probably just a little bit too big. So there are the petals. No, there's a bunch of different ways you could shape them. You could grab them and pull them. Let's try one of those. I'm going to grab them. dull. You can use a sharper pick. So, if I don't have a sharp pick, there's another way to pull. Heat the pedal, touch it with cooler glass, and pull. Melt it off. Change the shape of the glass. That's one way to make a flower, one way to make a simple flower. You could get complicated from here. Let's make one that's a little bit bigger. Okay, we'll just use this one. Just remelt. Let's heat it up. Sort of backtrack our work a little bit. Just melt it back up. Let's add a little more. The petals a tiny bit bigger. And we'll start again. A little bigger. Let's go one more. Now I can start adding like other colors to these petals and stuff too if I wanted to. Let's just heat one petal and shape it a little bit. Go to the next one. Pull this a little bit flat. I goofed that one a little bit. A little bit bigger. Now what if we wanted them to be of a different shape? We could give them a little snip. I missed. Let's try it again. Give them a little bit of shape. Now they're starting to look a little more like leaves, aren't they? Now let's just give them a little push. And let's give that last one a little pull. Stay short. See, we just started playing with that glass a little bit. Started looking like a flower. Now, if I took another bead that had petals like that and stacked it next to each other, that could look even cooler. Make one small, make one big. You could make this middle bead bigger, make more petals if you wanted to. We could get in there with our, let's get some heat in there. Let's use a tiny beam. Let's see if we can get something in there that looks like a little petiole. There we go. Flower bead. great. Still fun. Alright. We'll put this in the annealer. That's just a good practice bead. Keep it to see what it looks like. Stick it in one of your potted plants. Who knows? When you get it out of the annealer, it might look great. Better than you remember. You might cherish it forever. Or the next flower might come out great, and that one will just stay in the plant. Alright, so next is going to be, let's do a leaf. Something to go near the flower. You could do a leaf where the leaf itself was a bead. You could do the leaf and then put a little bead on there so you could string it a couple different ways. So let's make a little tiny bead. Part that'll put the string on something. And then let's make a leaf. And we'll stick it on the bead. That's like the fastest, ugliest leaf on a bead ever. But we could redo some of that. Give it a little bit of push and pull. Make it flat. Give it a little better shape. And it's going to hang down like that. Get quite natural looking. Could be fun. Or we could just melt it into a big blob. Pour it around. Let's add a little bit more green. Oh, I ruined it. Let's see. Got a little bit of kiln wash. Hold off. Might pull it too hard. Let's melt it. Let's turn it into some frit. Put it in the water. And dust. Let's go back and get a couple gathers on there, and we'll make a leaf that's right in the middle of the bead mantle. Quick seed bead. It's a little bit crooked. I'm going to add some more glass though, so no big. Even green bead. Now let's mess it up. So we'll pinch it. And let's pull it. Kind of flat. A little vein in the middle. Just having fun. Playing with some shapes. round beads get boring after a while, right? But you can put in a little round bead just like you can put in a marble. Yeah, let's save this. I'll put it in another. Alright, the last one I'll do today, let's do one that's got some stuff in it. So back in the early 1990s, I started selling beads because I'd been making them and they were really starting to pile up. So one of my, I would always call them something garden, you know, secret night garden, moon garden, kind of stuff. And so that naming tradition sort of caught on. You could still see people naming their stuff that today on like eBay and Etsy and stuff. You probably don't know where that came from. Alright, so I'm going to do a little bit of aventurine on that black base. Give things some sparkle. Sparkle is good. Now I'm going to put in a little bit of blueberries. And let's get some green, tiny leaves. So this is a really simple bead, but it looks gorgeous. Got, you know, multiple layers. And you just sort of let the design come from what you're feeling with at the time, or what you have on your bench. So here is the black bead with aventurine and some multicolored blue and green dots. Now I'm going to case it pretty heavily with clear. So I want the base to be firm and the casing clear to be hot. And I don't want bubbles. So I want the backdrop to be hot enough so that it's not going to have a temperature disparity that causes air expansion. And I'm putting on one line of clear casement glass. Now I'm going to put on more towards one side. Put on another one towards the other side. I get some spread out of the design, but not too much. Now I'm going to heat it and then rotate it. I want to heat it nice and hot, not so hot that it's getting away from me. And now, there you can see, it's got the stuff going on the inside. Is it even? Every time I hold it up to this thing, it gets crooked again. Alright, let's let it firm up. And let's let the colors resolve. Got my stuff. There we go. Black aventurine, some blue and green. Cased in a pale blue. Beautiful bead. And simple. But also, you know, has some complications, some depth. You could move to surface decoration now if you wanted, or add more layers. I did a pretty heavy casement. I could have done some intermediary decorations between the clear layers, but this is just fast to show you guys, and it's fun. I never get tired of making beads and playing with glass. Let's put this in the annealer and we'll wrap it up. Alright, we'll be back next time with the marble again. I just didn't want to leave the annealer on for hours and hours at a time for marbles because it's so hot. So making beads is great because you can start amping down the temperature at about 15 minutes after you finish. And I'm not working anymore today because it is hot. I'm going to go to the Blue Mountains Art Club, which is meeting next door, and draw some pictures or paint something. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.